Okay, Dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you guys my progress after a month in 7 Nights Rebirth, totally F2P. Did not spend a single cent, as you can see. The shop, even the most important pack here, I did not buy it. And in future, if Global comes out, this is something you may want to keep in mind. But anyway, I just want to say that there were 2 weeks that I was away this past month, and during this period my friend was actually helping me play the account, and beyond that he also kept a lot of resources for me to use when I came back. So I'm very grateful for that, and this is the progress I can show you guys after a month of being F2P. One thing to note, I think during the 2 weeks that he was doing purely farming most of the time, I think he helped me earn about 25 to 27,000 rubies. So this gives you a rough idea of what you can expect if you farm just for 2 weeks. So in terms of heroes, these are the heroes I have gotten. Of course, this really depends on what you have placed on your wish list in the summons area, but I will cover that in another video. Mainly, these are the heroes I've been building and using. As you can see, the rare heroes in this game are very important, at least at this stage of the game. So we're gonna jump straight in. Okay, I'm sure you guys are pretty curious how I built certain heroes rather than the history of getting the hero. So for my Yonhee, I actually built her in an attack set, but I strongly feel that she needs a crit set instead. So this is definitely something I need to spend a lot of gold in future to unequip, and I definitely don't have the gold right now, as you can see, so I'm making do with an attack set. But as you can see, the main stats are more or less catered for her: effect hit rate, weakness chance, and I think any damaging or effect related main stat will be fine. So next we have Rudy. Rudy is very not enhanced, but I'm building a defensive set for him, okay, in future. And I think unfortunately he is not one of my priorities right now. I mean, he will be, it's just that in terms of resources, it is a bit tight on my hand. Rachel as well, I think is pretty unfortunate. I think you guys are gonna judge me for this, but I totally didn't prioritize her in terms of ultimate enhancement, which she should be because she's a very commonly used hero. But I'm building her on a HP kind of set, and she's actually more defensive based. But I think that's fine because she needs to survive. Okay, all she needs is to survive. For Dylan's, I don't use him that much, and so he is not very developed at all. But I'll just let him be for now. When for Teo, okay, for Teo, when the moment he came out, I was away, and I told my friend that okay, this guy really needs to be ultimate enhanced. So we unlocked the 2 slots for him immediately and gave him all the lethal gear that he needs. Okay, I mean weakness chance. I keep using the 7 Nights 1 terms in terms of lethal. Weakness chance gear, okay? I think in terms of his main stats, it's still pretty decent. All attack mainly and weakness chance. Next we have Ace. He's also free, and I think you guys will judge me again for this. He is very not ultimate enhanced, okay? I've been seeing many people drop him off teams at the moment. They may also have Vanessa, and Vanessa's actually pretty strong in terms of adventure or in raid or in PvP as well. So she basically has the same effect as Ace, she's just a magic version of Ace. And I don't have Vanessa, I unfortunately did not pull for her. I went for Jave instead, who got replaced by Teo. So yeah, I think Ace could fall off depending on what other heroes you have. I mean, I should be ultimate transcending him, but we'll keep in view. Eileen, another unit that I don't really use, okay? If you realize the 7 Nights wise, I didn't really care much for them. So yeah, I feel like there are just other heroes that are way more important, and because these are legendary heroes, so they're harder to upgrade, and hence naturally they are also weaker unless you are really gonna wail and dupe them out. Okay, so in terms of gameplay early stage, it is better for you to focus on your rare heroes, which I will talk about in a while. In terms of Jave, I know many people also build Jave, and I think my friend also told me that I should be building Jave because you know, he's a great unit. I think he came a little late for me, and I felt that, you know, maybe I just didn't want to invest too much into him, and then Teo came out, so that's all good. So yeah, Teo became the farmer, and my Jave is not doing anything anymore. Then we come to the next 3 major units. Okay, they are Pascal, Shane, and Espada. I've personally worked on them over the past few days and made sure that they are all ultimate transcended because they really do need the extra gear slots for the set effect. So if you don't ultimate enhance them, you're not gonna get the full gear effect, and that will ultimately affect your progress and damage output. In terms of Fesca, I've given him a full weakness chance, and his main stats are crit chance and weakness hit chance. I know he gives himself 50% crit rate when he attacks, so that brings it up to about 70% crit chance wise. He doesn't really get any buffs for weakness hit, so you will need to give him that in order to increase the damage output. In terms of his armors, of course, if you can, you should be giving him the attack percentage main stat, but I don't have that, so I have to make do with this. Anyway, they are only 5-star gears, so if you have attack percentage main stat gears, that would be great. Same thing for Shane, because armor wise you can only have attack percentage as the best offensive stat, so you would definitely want to prioritize having that on your DPSs. Unfortunately, my substats, well, they're all pretty okay, and of course my gears are not that great at the moment. I still have to farm for 6-star gears, okay, so these will make do for now. In terms of the main stats of weapons, they are attack percentage and weakness chance. I personally feel that you can actually go with crit chance or weakness hit. 1 crit, 1 weakness hit, I think it is fine because she does give herself some crit chance as well. So if you pair with other units, okay, that you will most likely use her with Rachel, who is going to boost your your weakness hit rate to about 90%. So you don't have to give her that much weakness hit. So having some crit chance on her gears are actually gonna be pretty beneficial. For my Espada, I think I tried to balance her main stats, okay, because previously she was having double lethal main stat. Then I actually shifted one over to Pascal so that both of them have some crit chance and some lethal rate. I'm just gonna go with lethal now, please. That's actually weakness hit, okay, weakness hit. Yeah, so I try to balance these two substats to a very high percentage so that their damage can be more consistent. In fact, this is actually a pretty good piece, especially for her defense, okay, because it actually gives her attack percentage on the defense piece, which is something I was talking about earlier on. These next two units, Ruri and Taka, they are DPS units for Castle Rush, and I think eventually I'll be opening their sub slots as well. Okay, as you can see, there are many units that require ultimate enhancement, and this is something that you should definitely start early on, okay, because if you don't give them the sufficient stats, then it's gonna be a problem. Then we come to Zeke, who is actually one of the heroes that I look forward to the most, but unfortunately he is overshadowed by Evan. Evan is one of the best heroes in the game. I cannot stress that enough. Like, he literally comes to you right from the start. Like, they gave you the best unit from the start of the game, and he is also one of the best units I've ever invested in this entire game. Like, I'm not kidding. Okay, I gave him a full defense set with defense main stats. So the two armors, if they could be defense main stats, that would be even better, because the more defense you have for him, the thicker his shield is gonna be. But my armor pieces do still have some decent defense percentages, so that's why I kept it on him. So yeah, that's what you really want. Some people go with a block set. Okay, I think it's fine, but if you do go with a block set, make sure that you have all 4 pieces for the block set to actually benefit from the set effect, because 2 pieces of the block set is just not gonna cut it. Okay? Then the next OP hero I want to say is Yui. So Evan and Yui, if you look at the tier list I created on the spreadsheet, they are ranked really high, and they're probably the best things that you can work on in the game. So I only recently ultimate enhanced my Yui, very regrettably, because it should have been way earlier. But yeah, it only happened recently, so I gave her max HP potentials. Unfortunately, one of them is a flat HP stat, which is very disgusting. But what can I do? So this is actually a role. One of her weapons has an attack percent main stat. It will be better if it was HP, of course, because if you were to look at her skills, her continuous healing is actually based off her maximum HP. So the more HP she has, the more your allies are gonna heal every time they do their attacks, which is gonna be very crucial for your entire team to survive. If you do have Lina and Yui, you're gonna have a very insane team, and you may not even die because Lina is also another unit that heals based off max HP, continuous healing, and these two units are very strong. I mean, if you look at my rubies, you can see why it's so low, because I've been trying to get Lina for quite some time and I still don't have her, which is very unfortunate. And one thing to take away from that would be like, I think units are more important than gear for sure. So the next few units are going to be the raid units. Asura, Black Rose, Victoria, Charon, Lucy as well. And as you can see, I did not ultimate enhance them at all, but I'll be getting to that. Definitely need to, because level 10 raid is still an issue for me, and in terms of Black Rose especially, there are some things you definitely need to ultimate enhance her if you want to kill those minions pretty easily. So I'm just showing you guys the progress so far that I've done. Some of you could be way ahead, and some of you may not be knowing who to prioritize. These are some things I just wanted to mention to give you guys a heads up on. My Ariel recently also became 6-star, just yesterday in fact. And as for these two, Liu and Fengyan, I'll be trying my best to upgrade them to 6-star as well, because I feel that I have a very big shortage of fire elements, unfortunately. There are also some units I potentially would love to work on, such as Sarah for Castle Rush, and Jane actually helped me a lot at this point, just at 5-star, so I think she's actually sufficient for this. Okay, I've also given her this effect hit chance gear so that she lands a poison much easily. So the next thing I want to talk about would be skill enhancement. I tried to do Yonhee skill enhancement on the stream, and I didn't know it was random, and unfortunately I got, you know, maybe not the worst but not the most ideal, which is to enhance her basic attack. But you know, when I look at it, her basic attack actually hits quite hard, so I personally was quite okay with that after that. But I personally don't recommend trying to enhance Yonhee's skills, okay, at the early stage, because firstly, she isn't really performing that well. But more importantly, I feel that you need to prioritize your raid units. Okay, the better you enhance your raid units, the easier you can clear the raids, the better gears you're gonna get. So I did Shane's, okay, and fortunately enough, it landed on the passive and the skill 2, which is going to increase her damage output. Espada as well, if you have the resources, you can pump into them. Hopefully you get the passive and the skill 2 and the skill 1. Same thing for Pascal. I think I would say these 3 units are the most important in terms of enhancing. Okay, and then for the rare units, they actually use the smaller crystal. So for Yui, go ahead and enhance all skills. Okay, enhance all her skills, because it is very important. Because not only does she reduce the magic attack of the enemy, her healing increases. She gives you a longer turn count for healing. That's very important, because you know, you just get more heals over time. And then she revives your allies with more HP. And I think she also heals herself when she uses skills. So yeah, she really needs to survive for you, so this is very crucial. The next guy I did was Evan, and thankfully it only enhanced his passive and skill 2, which is the barrier. The barrier is all I need. Okay, I don't really care about his skill 1. If you do, but some of you, you know, if you do feel that it's lacking and you use him for PvP, I mean, it could be useful in PvP. Basic attack I don't think is that great. Okay, but the barrier is so important. Okay, because it gives him a thicker barrier based on his defense. So yeah, I think this is very crucial for survivability. And the passive wise, if once enhanced, it gives more defense for the entire team as well. So the next few I actually cared about to enhance were Black Rose and the raid units specifically. Asura not yet, but Lucy and Victoria I did as well. The reason is because of their passive. When they use skills, it actually lets them heal themselves, and let me tell you, this is actually almost equivalent to a full heal. Okay, so it's very crucial for their survivability, and I would strongly encourage you, if you can, to gamble for this so that your raid runs can be a little better and a little easier. I would want to upgrade Black Rose's second skill, the AoE, because it can deal more damage to the minions, and I think this is actually important for your T10, for your Ox King, so that because the minions actually have 4000 HP each. So unless you have pretty good gears or you have unlocked the slots for your Black Rose, and hopefully she crits, right? Otherwise you could have some issues clearing off the minions instantly. Okay, so we're going to talk about content themes, content progress. So for my Destroyer Gaze, I'm only at T9. I have not cleared T10, right? And this is the team I'm using. And I have Yui and Evan guaranteed to be here, like I said. And the other two, you can actually use Vanessa or Ace, because both can help to do the same thing, which is to decrease the defense of the dragon. Rachel is also pretty essential because she helps to reduce the dragon's attack and also lower their defense. And Shane is the DPS for the raid, that's without a doubt. For my Numo Wang Ox King, I am also at T9, not at T10 yet. The team will comprise of Espada. If you don't have Espada, unfortunately you have to build a Snipper. Some people do use Shane for the raid, I think it's also possible, but Snipper is basically the budget version of Espada. If you don't feel like building a rare unit for this, you can actually use Shane here as well. I think Black Rose and Charon are definitely without a doubt a must-have. Evan is here for survivability as well as with Yui. If you think Yui is not that essential because your Charon is actually healing pretty well, you can actually swap out for maybe another buffer like Rachel or Evan. Or Ace. For Iron Devourer, I'm only at T8 because T9 is pretty insane. I'm using Pascal, okay, and I think the other front 3 units, Lucy, Victoria and Asura, are permanently there, okay, for now. So as a last unit, I'm using Evan for his shield. Okay, it's just so good. You may also want to consider a damage boosting unit like Ariel, okay. I don't think Rachel is gonna be very good in this raid because Asura actually also decreases defense of the enemy, which is what Rachel does. And Rachel actually increases physical vulnerability of the enemy, but in this case you're using a magic team, so that doesn't really, gel together. You can also use Vanessa to do defense down so that your Pascal can do more damage, and I think these are some of the options that you can have. So next, for the Infinite Tower, I'm only at floor 61, okay, but I think I've been really chilling on this, not actually doing much. Previously, I was running Teo in the back line and Ace in the front line, but then after that, my friend informed me that actually Shane is doing much better at the back, and she does a lot of damage and kills off sync enemies one by one very easily. And if your enemy is using a Rudy Link, she can actually do huge damage to all of them actually. Yeah, so Shane is actually preferred, and I'll be pushing more Infinite Tower for sure. I'm using Teo for buff duration reduction, if you guys are wondering why. So for power up dungeons, for my fire dungeon, I'm actually at T9, not at T10. I'm really stuck at fire particle, which is very annoying. I'm not using the freeze comp because my freeze units are not built and don't have spike. Okay, so I'm using a brute force team, and unfortunately, I think because of my Ace and Rachel, who are not ultimate enhanced, and are not +5, they are having a lot of issues surviving, which means I have to, keep cycling certain heals for them. And yeah, I think they are dying too early, and my Shane just cannot do enough damage towards the end. Next up, we have the water dungeon. So I managed to clear T10, and this is the team I use, and these are my units built. In future, I'll make a T10 video when I clear all of them, so don't worry about that. I'll talk about that in depth, and probably some of you want to know how to rotate the skills. So Chloe is here to prevent the healing of the Pookie. Feng Yan for freeze immunity. Jane is my preferred DPS here for poison. Okay, the poison is very effective against this boss, and she's only 5-star. You and Evan for survivability. For Earth Particle, I haven't managed to clear T10, but I think this is a very straightforward dungeon. Rachel is my DPS, and with Jay for burn. Ace is just there. I mean, you can use another burner. In fact, I think Ace doesn't really contribute much here, but the Earth Poke itself is very tanky, so the burn damage is very essential. At this point, Yui and Evan are really just the best support you can have. Okay, so I'm not gonna talk much about them. So for Light Dungeon, I actually cleared T10 using Yeonhee, Joker and Chloe. Yeonhee, both her skills are multi-hit, so it's actually very decent. And the main unit, I feel like it is Joker. Joker is super useful because of his skills. Actually clears 7 shields with his lower skill, and then his basic attack also hits twice, and then his top skill removes buffs from the light Pookie, and the light Pookie actually buffs its own attack by a huge amount, so you need to remove that buff, otherwise you'll be taking a lot of damage. Chloe is here for shock immunity, and yeah, again the godly pair. The Dark Dungeon, unfortunately, I'm still stuck at T8. I can't clear T9. I think this team has a lot of improvement and work that needs to be done. I think only, Lucy is the one that's fixed here because she has a cleanse. And Leo, of course, for death immunity. But I need to build up my Leo. And I think, if you have more bleed units, I think they'll be better here. So I do have a Bidam who is not built. Yet another fire element required unit, so that is really a challenge for me right now. I'm really hoping to get the fire element dungeon done. So something I've also been neglecting is the gold dungeon. For the gold dungeon, I'm using a magic com. Of course Vanessa is gonna be great here instead of Ace, but I don't have Vanessa, so Pascal is gonna be the DPS, and the other 3 basically helps to boost Pascal's damage so that you can kill the slime as fast as you can. For PvP, last week I ended about 3-3 something. Okay, unfortunately it doesn't show your rank last week, but yeah, that's where I made it till. The team I'm using is this team. I actually find that Yeonhee works better at the back, and Teo doesn't need to be afraid of being in front because of his immortality. Of course, if your Teo is at the back, even better, because enemies seldom touch the back unless they have a 5-man AoE, right? So yeah, but I really want to use Yeonhee, so I put her at the back, and even though I think she's not that great because of the sleep, like you can really easily break the sleep with a basic attack that comes after. So I think that's the problem in this case, because instead of chaining skills, this game's gameplay is you cast a skill and then a basic attack follows, so you can actually just slap the enemy awake instantly, and that defeats the purpose of the sleep effect entirely. Yeah, unlike other statuses like Petrify and Stun, where you permanently, okay, not permanently, but you really can incapacitate the enemy's team pretty well. But sleep is, really just something like freeze, but not as effective. And previously I was using Rachel over Eileen, but I really wanted Eileen because of her status effects. I realized that I was getting hit with a lot of status effects, so I really wanted to do something back to the enemies, so Eileen is here. I do feel that this team is pretty messy, but at least I'm sustaining somewhere. And the last thing I want to talk about will be Castle Rush. I don't think I've ever talked about Castle Rush before. Right now I'm very concerned. I'm most concerned with the personal rewards for Castle Rush. There's this event. Okay, once you hit about 100,000 score for each castle, you actually get a layer. And layers are very important because they help to ultimate enhance your units without you going through too much trouble. So if you can push for the 100,000 score mark in your Castle Rush, try to do so, because I don't think this event has a time limit. Okay, but yeah, hopefully you eventually get there and you can get your layers for your progress. So I'd like to start with Monday's team, which is Rudy Castle. I think for the Rudy Castle I did okay, 120k. I was using this team because you do need to use a magic DPS. Take note that you will need to use a 6-star Joker or 6-star Soy, because only the 6-star versions have buff removal. 5-star versions are not going to cut it because they will only remove 1 buff. So you really need to 6-star Joker or Soy in order for them to remove 2 buffs. because Rudy will cast 2 buffs. One is I believe a link, and another it's a damage nullification, or just a shield. Yeah, he will cast a shield. So if you just attack the shield and you don't break the shield, your score is not going to increase. You have to remove the shield entirely. Yeah, so some people, are not scoring enough because they're using 5-star jokers. So yeah, just take note of that. Yesterday was Eileen. Okay, like Eileen, I was also struggling to get 100k, and I was using Teor for buff duration reduction. You have to do that because Rook actually casts a shield and you want to remove that to score more. Yeah, so as you can see, this is actually one of the most ideal teams right now. And yeah, I think I'm almost there. I'm just missing 2 units, Vanessa and Lena. Otherwise, it'll be great. So take note that you do need buff duration reduction for this. So by the time this video comes out, it should be the Rachel Castle, and last week I scored really badly. I will be going with Ruri and Yui for burn immunity, and then I'll also probably go for Lucy for debuff removal, and then have Evan and Yeon Hee. And hopefully we'll get 100k this week, okay, for Rachel Castle. So next 3 castles are actually physical base. Dylan's Jave and Spike, you need to use physical DPSs. Last week I was using Taka, Jin, Yui, Rachel, Ace. Some people are using Lee, right? Because Lee actually helps to defend against Dylan's single target because of his taunt and damage immunity. So I think there's also potential in using Lee here, but many people are scoring without Lee as well. Feng Yan is also a very good alternative over Taka if your Taka is not built. Okay, and Jin is for silence immunity, and you also have 2 buffers as well. Then for Jave's Castle, I was also using a very similar team. Evan for stun immunity, Yui for burn immunity. They are perfect again for this team. You will want to blind Jave, because if you blind Jave, you can actually prevent him from counter attacking, which is actually very painful. Then for Saturday's Castle, which is Spike, I was using Taka. If you have Feng Yan, you can actually use him as a DPS as well, because Feng Yan also provides freeze immunity, so you can free that slot up for someone else. I will probably be using Joker this time around, not Black Rose for buff removal, and then Ace and Rachel for support. I could also potentially use Yui and Evan for sustain so that I can live longer and deal more damage. Lena is also a good choice if you do have Lena. I think Lena should be in every PvE mode as well. And then for the Hell Castle, this was the team I was running last week, just a few days ago actually. Shane, Evan, Yui, Asura and Leo. You want Asura to focus your attacks on Chris, and Leo of course for death immunity. Just to mention something about Asura I didn't really talk about, which is that I gave her lethal for her gear because sometimes she does not hit the correct hit for the Iron Devourer, and I was very offended. So I decided to give her lethal so that she aims the right hit to begin with. So I hope this video helped in terms of showing you guys how much progress you can actually achieve potentially in a month. And of course, this is subject to your own play time. You can definitely go far beyond this, I believe, if you are really, even more intense in terms of playing. I've been pretty casual because I do have other games to attend to as well. But I think I've done what I could in this time, and hopefully it will get better when Global comes up. Of course, some of you may be wondering why are there not more videos coming out. To be honest, I'm holding back quite a bit in terms of content until Global is near, so that the videos will become more relevant to a greater audience. Okay, so thank you so much. Hope this video helped, and if it did, do give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Be sure to check out the 7 Nights reference sheet for more information and details. Thank you so much, and see you.